All right, we are live. Welcome everyone to the live stream. Let's see if there's
Hello.
anyone in here. We got Flickr Studios. Right on. How's
Nice.
it going? Who up laundering their bed sheets? It's a very specific question. Not me. Zach, have you been laundering the bed sheets?
No, I should probably do that soon, though.
Right on. What time is it over there in Arizona? Is it 2 hours ahead or is it 3?
I think it's 1 or 0, depending on where we are at in the gosh, what time savings
Well, I
or
think he's in
daylight
Tucson, right?
savings time? Yeah. Well, Arizona doesn't do daylight savings time, so it will sometimes be in the same time zone as us, and sometimes it'll be 1, or it's either that or it's 1 hour and then it's 2 hours sometimes.
Oh, that's
I don't
crazy.
know. It's
8:34
wacky.
for him.
Okay.
Nice.
So 1 hour.
Nice. Cool. Happy to have you in here with us, James.
Yeah.
If there's anyone else down below, please leave a comment or leave a little like or whatever. Let us know you're here.
Let us know if you believe in daylight savings time or not.
Exactly. Yeah. Zach, you want to explain to the folks watching why we're here?
Yes. So, if you are here and haven't been necessarily in the loop, not that there's been much of a loop, but we dropped our trailer, very short trailer, for Coalescence this morning. So if you'd like to, you can go ahead and check that out. It's like 18 seconds or something like that. So it's pretty darn short. But anyways, Coalescence has been a project that has been in the works for almost 3 years now. I probably started the script for it probably April of 2022. Yeah, so it's been almost 3 years. It was a project we shot back in 2022, mostly in the summer, and we got some additional photography that December as well. And then we hadn't finished the project. It was about, I would say, somewhere between 75 and 80% shot at that point. But we never got around to finishing it just for a variety of reasons. Primarily just scheduling was a nightmare. So I kind of just sat on the footage for like a year and a half, 2 years, just being like, what do I do? I have no idea how to make this 75% shot film into a complete product, a complete, like, get across what my vision was for it. So I was kind of stumped. But I don't remember exactly how we got around to it, but I ended up sharing the footage that I did have with you first, Jordan, and then Ethan as well, just to kind of tinker around with it, because I was like, I'm at my wit's end. I don't know what to do. Because I really wanted the project to come out, but I just had no idea how to make it work. So I let you tinker around with it a little bit, and you came back to me a week or two later. You were like, here's kind of what I've been playing around with. And you hadn't read the whole script. Ethan hasn't read the whole script, anything like that. So you were going very much more off of like vibes and stuff like that. So what you ended up showing me was very different from what I had initially envisioned, but I was like, this could work. I still don't know how to make it work, but this kind of approach could work. So basically, it came around to reworking the story at around what we had already. And then around, I think it was beginning of December this year, or this past year, 2024, we got the main cast together and got a couple extra scenes to bring the whole thing together in a more coherent manner, that matched the kind of revised vision for what we had collectively kind of come up with. And at this point, Ethan was on the project as editor, which was really helpful to me because it allowed me to have somebody with fresh eyes on the
David's
project.
here. Sorry to interrupt. David
sick.
is here. David Rivera. Hello, sir.
How's it going, David?
Nice to see you again. Ethan's also here.
Nice.
But yeah, sorry. Continue.
Where was I? So Ethan came on as the editor at that point, and we were collaborating with each other on, like, in regards to, like, he was kind of getting these ideas for how to put what we had together in a new way that would, work. And then I was able to kind of take the back seat and kind of direct from there what I was seeing him doing and being like, okay, this is what's working well, this is what's not. And letting him do his thing and then having meetings with him where he would show me what he was doing. And I could bring my director's hat to that meeting and be like, okay, I like where we're going. Here's some ideas I have, stuff like that. Kind of from the back seat sort of a situation, which was really great for me because I was still at the point where I was like, man, I didn't have really any more inspiration on what to do. But once we started having those meetings and editing, I was able to, gears started turning in my head again, which was great for me for making the project work, and actually have something that could release, even if it was not necessarily what it was when I wrote it, what it was when I shot it. That's one of the many things I learned on this project, which has been, I've learned so much. Even though it's my fourth feature film, it really feels like a lot of the lessons that people talk about learning on their first feature film, I learned through this project. And that really is, like, I think Jordan had talked about this when he's talking about Little Black Submarines in some of our behind the scenes content. But your project really changes from each of its stages, from like the writing stage to the shooting stage to the editing stage to what finally comes out and stuff like that. And it really helped to, by the time we got to the editing stage, learning to approach it almost like it's a new project. Like, I think the thing that was great bringing Ethan on was the vast majority of the footage he hadn't shot. So he was seeing a lot of the stuff for the first time and
Charlie's in
interpreting
the
it.
chat. Hello, Charlie.
Hey, how's it going? Glad to have you here. But having that sort of lens that he brought to the table of like how he was interpreting what I had shot, through a very like fresh and very Ethan lens, I think that really helped salvage the project, because it was almost like, I mean, we should talk to him to see what his thoughts are, but I very much could see it similar to, like, if you've been to film school and you're in film school, it's like the professor gives you some footage, whether it's like stock footage or footage that he shot in the past or whatever the case may be. And they're like, here, this is going to be an editing project. Take what you've got, Oh. Take what you have, or what I've given you, and edit it how you see fit, and kind of like a film school project sort of a thing, um, where it's like everybody has the same footage, but each person brings their own unique interpretation to it. And that was really helpful for me because I was not a fresh set of eyes, but he had a fresh set of eyes that really opened the project up to what it could be. And I was at that point still stuck on what it couldn't be because of XYZ throughout the production. Because I was so
Merdul
concerned.
is in the chat.
Hey,
How's it
I'm
going,
very excited
Merdul?
for Merdul to see this one, especially with sort of, well, I don't want to spoil anything, but some of the choices that we make in the film, I think you will really enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
But
let's back up for a second because we're getting really in the weeds here, and we got a lot of new people coming in. Hello, everybody. Hope everyone's doing well. We have been AFK for quite some time. We've been totally out of the loop in terms of online stuff pretty much since fall. We've posted a couple videos on our channel, but as you might have known, Little Black Submarines took a big toll out of all of us. And so we took a little break. Nothing personal if it seems like we were not online, but that's also because we just weren't online. We just all needed a refresher. And so we're back with a new movie this Friday, and we're hoping to get back into things slowly. We're going to be responding to some messages that have been piling up all over our social media. It's too much to count, to be honest, but it's all right. We'll get there. Let's see. Let's go through some of these comments.
Yeah.
Merdul says, I loved how that trailer gave nothing away.
That was the idea.
Charlie says, yeah, it seemed like that by the trailer. And then James says, sorry to interrupt. Is there a logline / plot summary thing? Or the plot all surprise? I feel like I've heard Coalescence mentioned many times in Doomed podcasts, but in real life, I don't know what it's about.
Okay.
Zach, share whatever you feel comfortable sharing.
I have a log line that doesn't give too much away.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. Oh man, I was gonna see what I
it's
wrote
on Letterboxd.
It is on Letterboxd. If you want to check it out, let me see if I can find where I wrote it down.
And actually, let me see if I can add. I'll add the link to the Letterboxd in this description of this live stream, so everyone
That's a good idea.
So
add it to your watch list.
Yeah.
I can't find where I wrote it down. My phone has been having issues.
You texted it to Ethan and I believe.
Oh, right here. Yeah, I'll find it. That'll help. Anyways, my phone storage is full to an obscene level. And so it's been having some trouble, and I need to go back through it and make it so that it functions like a normal device again. But yes, so here's the log line for Coalescence. High school senior Josh goes on a mind-bending and existential journey to uncover the mystery of his friend's disappearance and uncover who or what is behind her disappearance. And that is about as specific as I'm going to get about the plot.
Yep. I think that's I think it sums up everything pretty well. And yeah, I feel like it's a movie that the less you know, the better going into it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's fair to say, Zach, or not, but
that's
definitely what agree. I feel like. Yeah.
Especially with what it is now, I think the less you know, the better. And for the most part, I've managed to keep what this project is a secret to the vast majority of the people that know that it exists, other than, of course, the people that worked on it to a certain extent, and even they don't have the full picture.
Yeah.
But there are a couple people who know outside of Ethan and Jordan, little pieces, but other than that, the majority of it's a mystery.
Radul says, "I love how much time you guys are taking with your recent work. Makes each one feel really exciting when it's time for release." Yeah, that's the idea.
I'm glad. Yeah, we've been working really hard, not just on Coalescence, but on other stuff as well. But this has been our primary focus for the past couple months, is getting this ready for release.
Yeah, we've been super busy. I mean, we've been offline, but we definitely have not been doing we haven't been doing nothing. Like, I did a ton of shooting last fall for La Danza. Zach and Ethan have been chipping away at the Coalescence. I did the score for Coalescence. We've all been writing. I have a little short I finished, a little animated short that I finished, and yeah, it's been busy times. Been busy times all around. Can't give too much away for the future, but it's going to be fun.
We also worked with Alex Clegg and the Ghoul guys on Debut.
Oh yeah,
in
that's
October.
right. That's right. Yeah,
Shout out to those folks over there.
Yeah. Shout out to Alex and Ghoul Capone. Yeah. Should be fun. Let's see. I always assumed it was just the 2013 Coherence mixed with Wild Boys.
No, this is far from Wild Boys. Very, very different. It was I had put together a concept trailer based off of some of the footage that we had shot back in 2022, because we did a film screening up in Yakima of The Bell Rings and Two Little Ghosts. And I had put together a trailer with some of the footage that we had. It cracked us up because it said from the director of Wild Boys. And it's just, the tone is so different.
Yeah. It's a very different movie than Wild Boys, but it's in some ways, I don't know, there's some similarities. Like, the first Wild Boys was an iPhone, or was it iPhone or is it Android?
Oh gosh, that's a
I think it's
question. That's the question for Ethan. I think it was an iPhone.
It's an iPhone movie, as was the first Wild Boys. And there's, well, I don't want to say too much. There are some similarities, weird similarities. But yeah, let's see. Also excited to see all these new actors whose names I don't recognize.
Yeah, this is. I'm very excited for you guys to see their work. I have been, before working on this project, I had been wanting to work with these guys for a long time, and this project came about, or rather, the idea came about because I wanted to write something that I could work with these guys on. Because for basically all of you who don't know, I had been volunteering at my old high school, helping out with the theater department. And a lot of these people, including my younger brother, who is one of the stars of the film,
who's also in Wild Boys 3.
He's
Ass Crack Bandit, right? Or no, what's his name? Butt Crack Jim, Ass Crack. I can't remember his name.
He also plays one of the guards at the end of the film as well. With Travis. But yeah, it was a lot of, because he was in the theater program at that time, and I had been in the program previously, and I was around them acting, and I was like, man, I'd love to work with these folks on a film. And so it very much came about from like seeing them act and stuff like that. And man, I was so happy to see what they brought to their roles and stuff like that. Because they do a really great job.
Yeah, they did pretty good. It's amazing how social media breaks can up your filmmaking game. Yeah, it's very nice. I mean, we I don't know. Well, at least I mean, I guess that was mostly me in terms of posting videos. We went pretty hard in terms of social media and like posting regular on YouTube last year. leading up to Little Black Submarines, and it's fun and it's cool, but the break was definitely needed after that. After that release and the whole fiasco with the movie getting pulled and uploaded and taken down, like all that, it was just good to have a break for sure. And I definitely feel, I don't know, feels refreshed coming back from it.
Yeah.
I think. See, ooh, younger Hendrix. Oh yeah, there is another, as Yoda said. I got to catch up on the Wild Boys movies. College has been kicking my ass. Well, I've hardly had any folk films in the past year. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, too, like watch Wild Boys, but also watch like if you haven't seen Merdul's movie, check out Merdul's movies. Charlie's got a wonderful. I mean, Charlie's stuff is kind of hidden on. I think it's Film Freeway. Correct me if I'm wrong, Charlie. Most of Charlie's work is visible on Film Freeway and Vimeo, and but you know she's a wonderful filmmaker as well. Check out oh gosh, I'm forgetting. I'm totally blanking on the name. Vimeo. Okay, thank you for correcting me. I'm blanking on the name. Oh shit. I'm sorry, Charlie. Check out Charlie's work too.
Yeah.
Wonderful work, wonderful documentaries. Yeah. But yeah. Flesh Curtains. Yeah, that was the one I was gonna say. Yeah, I talked about that one on the channel. But yeah. And who else is in here that we can give a shout out to?
Oh yeah.
I guess that's it. I mean, David's in our stuff. He's in RC Boys. Ethan's obviously in Doomed. Yes. Anyways, yeah. Check out Wild Boys, but there's a lot of other great folk films on the internet. We again our inbox has been piled up on our break of like stuff to watch, and people being like, watch our movie, and I'm like, you know, coming back to it, and I feel so bad because it's like we've been out of it, but we'll get into it. Okay, not to dox any of y'all, but is this a Portland production? I always thought bringing a local scene of arts together is part of what indie filmmaking can do.
Yes,
it was made in Portland.
Yes, it was made in Portland. Yeah. No, everything's been shot locally. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't, but it's definitely in terms of I wouldn't say this is like a made in Oregon, filmed, Oregon Film Commission.
Yeah, it's not like something that features Oregon, like, oh, it's Oregon, it's Portland type of a thing. That's not really what it is, but yes, it was filmed in Portland with everybody that was involved was from the area.
Yes. Good. Yeah. Fun stuff. Yeah. But does anyone have any questions about Coalescence or filmmaking in general, or what we've been working on, or suggestions of what we should do? I don't know. I don't know. It's weird. We've been out of the swing of things for a little bit. It's weird coming back on live stream.
Yeah. No, feel free to ask anything. The worst thing we can do is say we're not going to answer that.
Yeah. How's Ladanza going? It's going very well.
You sent us something in the chat that I still need to watch.
Yeah. You know me, I'm a little superstitious, and well, I guess Merdula, you're kind of in the know a little bit, but so you kind of know what the deal is with that. But it's been going very well. Trying to think if there's anything I can show.
Have like a still maybe or something.
I mean, yeah, I have tons of stills. I have a newer poster I can show. I feel comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Where are you? I guess I have a series of posters I could show. Let's see. Yeah, I'll do. I don't know. I'll do last year's because it feels like old news. I don't feel as. I mean, if you can't tell by this point, I get very nervous showing things because I feel like you when you reveal anything, you curse it to like not happen, which has definitely happened on some of our productions before.
Mm-hmm.
So here's a little poster. Here's a little something something. This is something from shooting, and this is all you get. Ha ha ha. Sorry. But yeah, it's been going well. To answer your question. Thanks for remembering, Radul. Let's see. Then don't answer. Let's see. Zach, hopefully this isn't a bummer question, but how long this took to get done, were there times where continuing the project felt soul sucking? How do you stay motivated when projects take, I'm guessing, forever, or when delays or other issues come up repeatedly with a project?
That is a great question. And I often found myself asking myself, how do I do this throughout the project? But yes, to answer your question, it very much kind of went through like swings almost, kind of like a roller coaster. In that there were times where it felt soul sucking, but then I also had times where I was like, man, that turned out so great. And I was really happy with certain aspects of the project. Or when I'd revisit the footage, I could go and look at it and be like, man, I forgot how great this turned out, or whatever. Or like revisiting a performance from a scene of like some of my actors and stuff like that, and be like, man, they killed it. That was awesome. And that would reinvigorate me to a certain extent. But yeah, it was very much kind of a roller coaster of like, there would be times or certain aspects of the project that I'd be like, man, I'm really happy with how things are going. And then there'd be a lot of other times where I'm like, oh, this is frustrating. Or I'd be down in the dumps, just like, particularly after shooting in December of 2022 up until this last year, really. I didn't know what on earth I was going to do with this footage. It was very much, I got to a point during that time frame of where I was at the point of like, man, I have no idea how to make this work. I don't feel the like magic of the like creativity of this project anymore. I don't feel motivated to do anything with it. But at the same time, I would have this like other thought that was like, even if I don't feel connected to the project anymore, I still want it to come out because, or find a way to make it work because of all the work that so many other people put into making it happen. Because this is probably our biggest cast that we've ever had. Bigger than Little Black Submarines, I would say, including all our extras. So that was one thing that kept me on the like, I need to find a way to make this work, was not necessarily because it was a project that I still was like very gung-ho about, but because I was like, I want this in some way, shape, or form, even if it's completely different from what I had initially envisioned. If it's something, if it's a short, if it's some sort of, I don't know, have something to put out there, especially for my main cast of characters to be like, we were in a movie and here's the result type of a thing. And have something that they can look at and be like, be proud of, happy of, with in some shape or form. and be like, we made that. So that really kept me going. But I still, throughout that process, really kept hitting a wall of like, okay, so how do I make it work? And I had no idea. I was still very much hung up on the whole initial idea of the project, what we shot and what was going to be shot, that I had kind of cut myself off from being able to view it through a fresh creative lens, that would be open to experimenting with it more, and getting to that point with the help of Ethan and Jordan is ultimately what made this project work in the end.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's hard.
I hope that answers the question. I can't remember everything that was listed in the first part, but yeah, soul sucking at times, great at other points, high highs, low lows.
Yeah. In honor of David Lynch, do you feel like Coalescence is closer to being Doob's Inland Empire or La Danza? It's a hard question.
Yeah.
Have you seen Inland Empire, Zach?
I have not, but I know a little bit about it. It's on my watch list, and it's definitely been bumped up over the past couple months, but I don't necessarily have a good gauge on that. But I would say La Danza and Coalescence are the closest two projects of our repertoire in regards to comparison to one another.
I would say Coalescence is the most similar to La Danza out of anything we've made on the channel that's out there, except maybe like Black Coffee or Black Coffee's probably the closest, and then Coalescence, but Coalescence is still pretty dang close. They're more similar to each other. Inland Empire, that's all. Ask us when it's out, when it's all out. You tell us. Let's see. I feel like when you're patient enough with a messy idea and you can't stop thinking about it, you eventually find a delivery system for it that justifies its existence. You just need to catch the fish. It's a very well put way to put it. Yeah, I like that. Really well said.
Yeah, patience is really what makes things work.
Nathan Cash in the chat, and Karina, I say hi. Karina has a question for you. Since this has been in production since 2021, do you consider this still? I'm sorry, I can't read. I've spent all day reading with the middle schoolers, and I'm like fumbling over my words.
No worries.
Do you consider this still as your first movie, or is that place taken by Wild Boys?
So this project,
wasn't it 22 when we started?
It was 22. So 2021 was when Wild Boys: The Hunt for Sasquatch, our first Wild Boys film, came out. That is my first feature film, which we shot that July, came out that September. Coalescence, I started writing, I think it was in April of 2022. The general idea of I want to make something with these people had probably been bouncing around since late 21, but it was definitely after Wild Boys. So if anything, in regards to conception of the film, it would be my second or third, because we made Wild Boys 2 came out beginning of 2022, and we shot that December, because Wild Boys 1 and 2 were pretty darn close to each other.
I will say, though, to add to your answer, I don't know if you agree or not, I do feel like, to an extent, Coalescence feels more like a first movie than Wild Boys, because on Wild Boys, it was you, me, and Ethan, tag teaming everything.
Yeah, that was a lot more.
Whereas Coalescence was more your baby. You're like, this is my idea. I want to bring this to life. Or even with Wild Boys, we all brainstormed that together. And whereas with with Coalescence, it was very much like, this is the thing I want to do, this is how we're going to do it. And
Mhm.
there were lots of days, I mean, a lot, you did most of the shooting without Ethan. I mean, Ethan and I were there for a
Mhm.
good handful of days, but you did most of this on your own, with the exception
Yeah,
of, some key things here and
there
there.
were big days where I had your guys' help, and that was very much needed. Um, but yeah, it was very different. Yeah, like you said, I very much kind of spearheaded this one from the get-go, and you guys kind of learned about it later into its development. Um, but Wild Boys was, yeah, I would say Coalescence spiritually or in some shape or form. Yeah, I would. That's probably the best way to describe it. Is kind of in its essence my first movie in like how much I learned from it. Um, but in regards to chronologically and literally speaking, Wild Boys: The Hunt for Sasquatch is my first film.
Yeah. Yeah. Wonderful comment.
Yeah. Oh.
If you want to see I can't do the voice. David Lynch. David Lynch and a cow. Let's see. Thank you for the answer to the last question. How does this movie tie into the chlorine universe? Just you wait.
There is a pool in this film.
And Dylan and Gloria are just chilling in it. Yeah. Yeah. There's a commentary for that movie now, Little Black Submarines. It's on our
Yeah, check it
channel.
out.
You can
It's
check it
great.
out.
I watched that at work. Was it a week or two ago? A couple weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah. A final step. Putting your movie out into the world. Yo, Coalescence equals chlorine. Sure. Whatever that means.
If you interpret it that way.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's again, this is part of the thing about being away from YouTube for a bit, is like when we post stuff, because we're not posting regularly, or we're not getting our stuff out there, it doesn't really pop up for everybody's subscriptions and all that. So yeah, there, check out the commentary, check out like the last few months of uploads. I think there's only been a couple uploads since Little Black Submarines, but yeah, there's also an interview I did with Andrew Price,
Yeah.
my co-writer on the movie.
That one's really great too.
A lot of good stuff. A lot of good stuff on our channel.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of stuff to tie you over until Friday.
Yeah.
For sure. Because here's what you do. Here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna do, if anyone is like dying and can't wait for Coalescence, here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna watch like Wild Boys. What's today? Monday? Tonight, watch like Wild Boys. Tomorrow, Wild Boys 2. And then Wednesday, Wild Boys 3. That leaves just Thursday for you to wait. So then what you can do is you can do like commentary, like our BTS, like do the LBS commentary, the interviews, scour through our old podcast episodes and try to look for all the parts where Zach mentioned Coalescence.
Or yeah. You'll find little bits and pieces of breadcrumbs because sometimes I said too much, and that is what doomed this project. No.
Yeah.
But if you have watched all those things and you've been up to date, check out Goody Two Shoes on Dan Lotz's channel. That's another thing I did this last year. That was really fun.
Yeah. Shout out to the Goody Two Shoes, the Zach Hendricks star and role.
I saw a comment on that project that said something along the line. They basically mistook me for Jesse Eisenberg for a second, which I was like, oh man.
Speaking of commentaries, do you feel like either Coalescence or La Danza would be appropriate with commentaries, or do you feel like their relative abstractness would make you prefer a lack of one? Speaking for me, I'm not going to do one for La Danza. The movie will stand on its own. In fact, I think going forward, I'm probably not going to do commentaries for my stuff anymore. Little Black Submarines was the last one, but yeah, I feel more of an interest in letting the work speak for itself personally. but that's just me. Zach, what are your
Yeah.
opinions?
In regards to that, I've thought about it a little bit. I feel like the nature of Coalescence as it is now, just given its runtime and how the story is told, I don't think a commentary makes the most sense, but I do plan to have other content in relation to it coming later. Like, I personally would love to do a podcast talking about the behind the scenes at some point. I talked to Ethan a little bit at this. I don't know if I told you about this, Jordan, but at some point down the pipeline, which may be a while because I've got another project that I'm working on now that Coalescence has done. But I'd like to take the initial scenes that we did shoot and edit them like they were going to be edited in the initial thing and organize it kind of like a deleted scenes reel, kind of like what Star Wars does with like Attack of the Clones, where it's like you can watch the whole thing through and it's like little titles for like the scenes and whatnot. And do like a Coalescence, the original reels or something like that. I don't know if that's something somebody would be interested in, but I think that would be very helpful, particularly on like the kind of more like learning about the filmmaking process, particularly with this film, and seeing how much it changed. Like there's not going to be like a director's cut of this film because this is the film, what we're releasing. This is the best version of the film that we can release. But I do think having some of that old version of the film could be interesting in regards to the conversation around this film. And kind of
we're not like Stanley Kubrick burning the extra
no.
footage so no one could use it.
No, and there's so much, despite not having shot the whole initial, what the initial film was going to be, this film in its 47 minute runtime, we don't use all of that 80% of the film.
We got a runtime confirmation from Zachary Hendricks.
But we get a lot of that, a lot of the footage, really all the footage that's in the movie is from the initial stuff, except for the stuff that we shot this past December. And even that was pretty darn close to what was initially going to be done. At least in concept. Little things were changed around and we rewrote the script for those particular scenes. But there are whole sequences that we skip over because of pacing, whatever the case may be. And there's a lot of great acting and stuff in that. And I'd love to have a way to release that. And I think doing something like Coalescence, the original reels or whatever, would be a way to do it.
Yeah. Is Coalescence a good date movie? I got a Valentine this year.
Ooh, that's a good question. It is coming out on Valentine's Day. I would not call it a particularly like traditional Valentine's movie in any way, shape, or form.
If your partner likes art movies,
yes.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
If not,
I will say, if not, it might be smart to watch it earlier in the day or the next day.
Or watch like Gone Girl instead, or like another Valentine. Or that's not Valentine. Wait,
no. Well, it could be. It's closer to a Valentine's Day movie than this one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say if she's seen Neon Genesis Evangelion and she liked the ending of that series, then yes. That is all I will say.
Yeah. There's some because we did have a conversation about when to release this and everything, and something just did feel right about it being on Valentine's Day. I'll say that. Like, it felt right.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, and the timing for us as Doomed is also great because, at least for me anyways, because I get to disappear for the weekend.
Yeah, well, we all do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, if I don't know, I know there's internet where we're gonna be, but Ethan, Zach, and I, and Ethan's wife, we're gonna go to Ethan's wife's family has a property at the beach, at the Oregon coast. So Zach, Ethan, and I were gonna do a little writers retreat, little Doomed retreat this weekend. So we're gonna upload the movie and then we're gonna disappear. So you might not
Make
hear
like
from
George
us.
Lucas with the Star Wars premiere.
Yeah, you might not hear from us for the weekend until like next week. But we'll be there. We'll be watching, depending on how good the internet is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Do you suggest another micro feature, 40 to 60 minutes, to pair with Coalescence as a double feature?
Ooh,
that's a good question. It's a good question.
Yeah. Oh man.
Pick one of Merdul's movies, honestly.
Yes. Yeah. I don't remember how long Egomaniac is, but I think of the three,
the second one.
Yeah, I would say that one probably would pair best.
Let's see.
But any of them would work, honestly.
I think I don't want to spoil anything, but I feel like Last Days of Childhood feels
that would. Oh yes, you're right. I was thinking like in regards to like how Merdul approaches the POV, but that would actually make a lot of sense.
Again, I don't want to spoil why, but I feel like
I don't want to either.
Last Day of Childhood feels very good.
I've changed my answer, but any of them would work.
Yeah. Could you do a Coalescence cut with original scenes, then like storyboards to fill the rest?
I have thought of doing that. That would be a lot more work. Because I'd have to draw up most of the storyboards for that. But I could. And that is something that is on the table. I could do that as opposed to like as an alternative to the original Reels idea. But yes, that could be really cool. And I will talk a lot more about the initial idea once the movie comes out. We are planning on doing a live stream at some point after the release. So we could talk more about that there.
We have a date for that live stream, correct?
We do. I don't remember what it is. It's either that Monday or Thursday.
I believe it's the Wednesday, actually. That Wednesday the 19th. So FYI, everybody, you heard it here first. We're going to do a live stream on Wednesday, the 19th, I believe at 7:30, I want to say.
Yes, that's
similar time.
Yeah.
So make sure you watch Coalescence before then. Watch it a couple times and make a diagram and charts and
come with your questions. Come with your questions. I may not have answers for all of them. I may have answers for them, but not give them to you. I may have partial answers that I will give you. I may have whole answers that I will give you.
Yes. It'll be interesting to watch the movie and then hear about the prior iterations. Oh, yeah.
Yes. There were the first two iterations of the film. There was the writing stage and what was shot. That's something that I haven't talked about as much. And it changed very slightly because of scheduling. So one of the characters in the initial version of the film, I had to change his role, which actually I really like because that inspired more conflict between characters and greater like setup payoff in the film. as part of a subplot that I really, really like. So that was actually one thing that was logistically frustrating at first, but ended up benefiting the film. At least the iteration that we shot. Because it made my little brother's character and his character a lot more interesting, and their dynamic was really cool. How does the movie end? You will see a moving image that may or may not have noise, and then you will see a title card that says Coalescence.
And then Batman shows up in Italy drinking a little rich person drink, and Alfred nods to him. Whatever that thing's called. Last minute changes like that are big learning experiences. Oh yeah. You learned a lot.
Well, and that was something that I was writing that change for the film while we were shooting the film. Because basically the whole situation was that this actor was working at a summer camp, so he was only in town for certain time, like certain like weekends or whatever. But because of that, the changes that I made to the story, which I'll go into more in depth once the movie's out, really, really amplified the intrapersonal dynamics a lot. That I'm quite happy with.
Oh yeah. Seeing this movie it's kind of crazy just like looking at the beginning of this movie in terms of like the production, tracing it back to 2022 to now. It's been a really crazy journey. I mean, but in that time, right, we The Bell Rings was just finishing when you started this, and I think we did Wild Boys 2. No, we didn't. That winter we were doing Wild Boys
2.
No.
Was
or is it
winter of 21, and we released it January 1st of 2022. So that summer we released Bell Rings. That fall we released Two Little Ghosts. You had edited Two Little Ghosts.
Wild Boys 3 was also that summer.
Yes,
I think. So
because there were some times where we were shooting like there was overlap. Yeah.
And then even since then, like Little Black Submarines, which is a crazy big journey, and a lot's changed for Doomed Productions since then. I mean, it's only been like 5 years, or like 4.5 years since Doomed started. So it's been a crazy journey.
Yeah.
Ever since then. But yeah, lots of interesting stuff. Questions. What other questions do people have? We'll be here all night.
Anything and everything.
Not really, because I have to go to bed at a certain point.
Same here. I work early in the morning.
Yeah. If no one has anything to say or ask, I'm gonna something I want to share really quick is I've been working at an art school, and it's been very interesting because I've gotten to talk with a bunch of the film students there, and it's very interesting to see where students who are leaving high school who want to do movies and all that sort of thing, like seeing that perspective and their view on cinema and the stuff they're making and stuff they're creating. It's pretty fascinating what's going on right now, and it's interesting to listen to a bunch of students and see how they're working, and makes me excited for the future of movies and what's going to come out. I can't say that there's anything this year that I'm like crazy excited about necessarily. Like, again, I'm kind of out of the loop, and there's also just not a lot that's catching my attention in terms of big releases, but I'm excited from, smaller YouTube filmmakers, folk filmmakers, and people making exciting stuff. That reminds, I'm not going to share it because it'd be just rude. One of the high school students I'm talking with at my work, he told me this idea he's like, I got a movie idea for the script, and he's like, it could be a feature, and he told me the idea, and it's so funny. It's so good. I was
Nice.
like, dang, it's one of those ideas where like, dang, I wish I had thought about that.
Yeah.
It's so fun. But yeah, there's a lot of creativity coming out from, fresh filmmakers.
Hmm.
Let's see. Any advice for not failing classes in college and graduate on time? Oh boy.
Don't be like me. That's all I'll say.
Um, work hard, play hard. That's what I'll say.
Yeah,
Work hard.
that's pretty good. Yeah.
All I got to say is I'm excited for this. I got to go though, so I love you, and we'll reunite. See, yeah, David, we'll talk soon.
Yeah.
Thanks for stopping in.
Yeah.
Let's see. Jordan, do you ever feel your relationship with your early bedtime and love and surrealism and dreams? Does it change when you're forced to stay up late for periods of life? It's a really good question. I will say I love dreams. I love surrealism. And if I were to describe my perfect like situation for falling asleep, it would be it's like a Friday night, so I don't work the next day, so I can stay up a little later. Um, and I'm in bed, really cozy. It's blast heats at like 75 degrees, and I have strange imagery playing on the TV. I have hypnotic music playing through the speakers, and I'm being lulled to sleep. I don't know if that answers your question, but if I could choose a way to fall asleep every night, which I sometimes do, sometimes I'll put on like an old silent film, like some old surrealist film. Like there's this movie called Monsieur Fantomas. I think it was 1937 or 27, one of those two. I think it was 27. And I'll put that on, and I'll put on like a kind of Pink Floyd ambient films, music, and I'll just sit there and I wait till I get sleepy and I fall asleep. And it's wonderful. So I wonder if that answers your question, but that's my answer. Okay, real question though, which might have been answered already. Doing homework, sorry, but are y'all already working on the next project, or is it break time? Zach.
It is never break time with June Productions in some sense or another. But for myself, at least, I am hard at work on a script that I've been working on for almost a year now. I actually started writing it, or the scriptment for it, at least, actually in Chicago when I was shooting Goody Two Shoes. And that is all I will say. I almost said too much. But it's a very big project that I am very excited about. I feel very passionate about the story. I would not be making this movie if I didn't, because of the nature of it in various ways that I will not share. But Nathan knows what I'm talking about. Jordan knows what I'm talking about. That's all I will say. It's something that as soon as Coalescence finished, it was rubber's meeting the road on this project. And I will probably start filming very soon.
Yeah. Yes, I'm working on too many things right now, but that also seems to be the way I work best. Trying to catalog everything I've done or I'm working on right now. I just scored a movie for Drew Crosby, Ghoul Capone. I just did the score for his movie, which should be coming out. I don't know when, but it's soonish. I'm working on planning another project, which is way more. It's closer to stuff that I've wanted to do for a while. I'm writing another project, which will probably, I don't know when we'll shoot that. I would guess in the next year or so. And then I'm working. Yeah, there's a feature I'm working on with I don't want to jinx it. There's something we're going to shoot this spring.
Mm-hmm.
And I just did that animated movie, so I'm kind of planning the next animated movie. So too much, but I'll say it might be a bit before you see our stuff on the channel. because the thing we're working on this spring is planned to not be released until later in the year. And the animated thing I made is not, it's been submitted to a festival, and you know how festivals are kind of rude and like to have premiere status. So that it'll be rejected. I don't anticipate to be accepted, but it'll be rejected, and when it's rejected, I'll post it on our Doomed account. But yeah, I think it'll be a bit before you see a big project from Doomed. I would imagine.
Yeah, probably at least a year. I would safely.
Well, no. I fall. I think.
Fall. Oh
yeah.
Okay, no, now I'm on the same wavelength as you now. Okay, yeah. Fall is when we're hoping. Yeah.
Fall, maybe summer, maybe a summer, but
yeah, that'll partially depend on Ethan's projects too.
Yeah,
because Ethan's working on writing a couple things as well, which we won't share. But
we're planning up a bunch of stuff, and I think part of what we'll be doing on this little retreat we're going on is like figuring a lot of that stuff out and the timelines and everything. But yeah, it's been never break time for Doomed.
Yeah,
it's never break. Even after Little Black Submarines, even after we went off to shoot that, I came back from that, and I took a couple travel trips. I went to Mexico, I went to DC, but in between those, I filmed what's worth of a feature film essentially for something else. So yeah, it's never a break. We're Doomed. Little appetizers till this fall. Don't hold us to that.
We do have a couple things in the can, at least one thing in the can that I'm aware of. It's just a matter of like, when's the best timing for that? So
yeah,
you'll probably get something before then, but
yeah. Let's see. Do y'all often get inspired by other people's projects like we often hear in the history of Nintendo? I don't know about the history of Nintendo, if I'm honest. I'm not a video game person.
I'm not familiar with their behind the scenes stuff.
But for other people's projects, when I was you answer first, Zach, then I'll answer.
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. And inspiration can take a myriad of different forms and degrees as well. Like, for example, I mentioned Neon Genesis Evangelion earlier in this stream, bringing it back to Coalescence. That inspiration was very minimal but impactful in how we approached the editing of Coalescence. At least as a springboard off. A springboarding point. I don't know how to speak anymore.
It was a jumping off point.
Yeah. We even, as a group, went to go see End of Evangelion at OMSI, which was really cool.
I have those photos. Hold on. I need to find those.
Yes, find those photos.
I'm going to share those. Photos.
It's so funny. Reminds me of my before and after photos that I took with the people I went to see Infinity War with.
Hold on. You keep I have to respond to text real quick.
But yeah, inspiration. Yes, I would say sometimes yes. For myself. But oftentimes it's not like in like a big way. Oftentimes it's in smaller things in regards to like, a vibe that I get from a certain scene or whatever. But I don't think I've ever been in a situation where an idea comes from scratch from another person's project, solely at least. Usually it's if I'm working on or have an idea already and I see something that somebody else has done and that inspires me to do something with that idea in some shape or form, like with Neon Genesis Evangelion and Coalescence. And my next project was inspired in a very different and much more traditional inspiration sense by a couple other projects, few other projects. But that is, I've already said too much about this mystery project. So I'll stop there. But yes, inspiration. Yeah. How about you, Jordan? Are you still working on finding those pictures?
Yeah, I'm looking for the pictures. I got to download them. Hold on. But in terms of inspiration, I'm going to be on. I don't. When I was younger, yes. Like when I hear about other people's projects that they're working on, I would be inspired. And it might give me some ideas. But especially after Little Black Submarines, I feel increasingly like, personally, I feel uninterested in movies and films in terms of taking inspiration from movies and films. Just because I feel like, I don't know, like I was movied out. Like, I don't know, I reached the threshold. There's a quote, I can't remember if it was Denzel Washington or who said this, but there's a quote I heard that was like, when you're a young filmmaker, you run towards your influences, and when you're in the second half of your career, you run away from your influences. And I really relate to that in terms of where I am now, of like, I'm running away from movies in a weird way, where I'm not interested in movies are not like my thing in terms of what I'm consuming. Like I'm way more interested in like going to like the ballet or in watching a show there, or I'm way more interested in listening to a new record by a musician I really like, than a movie necessarily. Not that I don't like movies, but I feel like I'm inspired. I feel like inspiration for me comes more from everything but movies, if that makes sense. Which is not me saying movies are bad. Obviously, I like movies quite a bit. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing this. But yeah.
Well, you had talked a little bit about that in the, I don't remember where, but somewhere along the lines of the behind the scenes of Little Black Submarines, where you were talking about how the music influenced Little Black Submarines.
This is the selfies we got before we watched Evangelion, End of Eva. I had seen the show and End of Eva multiple times. Zach, you had seen the show, but you hadn't seen End of Evangelion. And Ethan knew what Eva was, but like he had not seen any of Evangelion essentially. So this was before the movie, and then this was after the movie. I just want to. Oh wait, Ethan just lost. Totally, just like, what have I just witnessed? What have I seen?
Oh my gosh.
Questioning everything.
That's going to be my new contact photo. Probably on somebody on the stream.
Yeah. So good.
Oh gosh. Yeah, that was, whew. We were all enlightened in our own ways.
Yes. It's very funny to see the range of reactions to the movie. But yes. Yes. Where were we? Totally got sidetracked.
We were talking about inspiration.
Oh, okay. Let's see.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. In other words, while working on other people's doomed projects, do you get ideas for your own doomed projects? I feel
that's a good question.
I feel more inspired to work rather than any specific ideas personally. Like if Zach, while we're working on Coalescence, I'm not getting any ideas for anything I'm working on, but I'm thinking just oh, Zach's having fun doing this thing. This is turning out really awesome. I want to do something too. I don't know what I want
Yeah.
to do, but I just feel like making something. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, Gwen in the chat. Hello, Chloe. Hope you're
Hey.
well. Chloe, you might have missed it, but we rambled earlier about how we've been away from keyboard for like 6 months, and our inbox is piled up. And your email, we discovered. Well, yeah, we've seen your email now. And apologies for not getting back to you because it's a long time, but we're slowly getting through everybody's messages since we've been away from social media and our email and online. But it's good to see you.
Yeah.
Good to have you here. Yeah. Um, we could probably go for, I don't know. I could probably go for another 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, I'm cool for a little while, so yeah,
My
let's do
my my bedtime's soon. Actually, my bedtime's like now, but I'm cool chilling with everybody here.
Yeah.
It's been too long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let us know if you have any more questions or comments, jokes. I don't know.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. No worries. Figure out we're busy / taking a break. Good to see you both. Glad to catch the end of the stream. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good to see you. Congrats on your projects and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just for everybody, again, we're gonna slowly try to get more active on social media again and responding to our emails. I felt so bad. We were there was someone who invited us to like a local film show, a film
Oh.
screening. Not like a YouTube. I think someone who like kind of knew us in the area or
Mm.
something.
Mm-hmm.
And we couldn't make it to the thing because we didn't see the email. I was like, oh no.
Man.
Oh well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we hope it went well.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite album of all time, Jordan? Not as a mathematical calculation, but as a conversational identity piece when you're asked.
Mm.
Well, I don't think. I mean, with me, I don't think any kind of music or art like is a mathematical calculation for me. But I quite like Quadrophenia a bit by the Who. That's definitely up there. Yeah, I'll say that one. But there's so many. Like, how do it changes day to day. I mean, I listen to such a weird variety of stuff too, so it's like I can't encompass all of that into one thing. Like, I was blasting Wu-Tang like yesterday, and then this morning I'm listening to Moody Blues and then ballet music, and it's like totally different ends of the spectrum. Zach, you have a favorite album?
Oh gosh. Man. Not really currently. I've gone through several, like it does shift. But I have been listening to a lot of um Jimi Hendrix, a little bit of Pink Floyd. Um what else have I been listening to?
Yeah.
There's been other things that I've been listening to, but I can't talk about it because it would give away stuff about my project that I've been working on.
I'm curious now in terms of because I have like playlists of like my favorite albums from each year and everything.
Mm-hmm.
See what was on 2024. 2024 albums. I like Orquídeas by Caliuchis. I like Dua Lipa's new album and her live album.
I don't think
I
I've
like,
heard her new album.
yeah, it's really good. I
Nice.
like the new Green Day album. I like the David Gilmour album he did.
Oh,
RZA just did a ballet score, which was really cool. I like that quite a bit.
mhm. I
Um,
remembered one. Linkin Park's new album that was like October or November.
oh, nice.
That was one that was a recent one that I listened to that I
Yeah.
liked a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of good. Oh, Last Dinner Party. That was another one I really liked from last year. Their record. Yeah, music. Yeah, there's too much. Yeah, too much good music out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see who else. Any other ones? Great choice. Definitely favorite film. Yeah, it's a good one. Quadrophenia. Good movie too. I like the movie. Yeah. Any other questions, people? I was just gonna ask if everybody thinks it's gonna snow on Thursday,
Oh yeah.
but I'm like, wait, they're not all in Portland.
Yeah. That'll
In
be
Portland, it's
interesting.
we've been having a little on-off, like, will it snow, won't it, or will it not snow locally? I personally really want it to snow because I think it'd be fun to have a snow day.
It
And
would be.
it's very fun when you're working in a school, you know.
Snow
'Cause
days are nice. Ice days are not nice. And
yeah,
unfortunately, they are a lot more common here.
yeah, that's very true. We had a whole snow ice stormageddon last year, um, which people were without power for like a week, 2 weeks. Like it was
Yeah.
crazy. It was wild.
No, I was glad I was away for that.
You know, let's see. I remember Darren Lott saying they were really influenced by the Quadrophenia movie, even though I've always been underwhelmed by it compared to the Wall movie. I like both quite a bit. Very different movies, very different experiences. The Wall I'd put up there with one of my favorite movies of all time. I think Quadrophenia it'd still be up there. I don't know if I had to compare them, which one I like more, but yeah, I like both of them quite a bit. Yeah. Ooh, I have one. What do you have? I'm scared, James. Ice Storm again. Angby. Yeah. Fresh for that'd be a fresh movie right there. Do you each have favorite filmmakers or favorite film movements? I love seeing filmmakers, various film styles, and where they might get them from.
For me, noir has been probably one of my favorite movements, partially because I studied it in college. But yeah, the whole noir era and like how that sprungboard out of German expressionism and stuff like that. I've always found it really cool, and I'd love to make like a noir film, and that'll happen at some point. I have ideas, but yeah, noir I really like.
I mean, it's no secret. I love Maya Deren. I think she's up there for me. I like I can never remember her name, and she's one of my favorites. Jermaine Dulac. I like Jermaine Dulac. She's a filmmaker working in the early days of cinema. Jermaine Dulac, she's awesome. I like Hodorowski. I like. There's a newer or not new. There's a guy who's I kind of just discovered. I can't pronounce his last name. But he was like a technician who worked in Hollywood, but his name was Slavko Vorkapich. And he's got this movie called Moods of the Sea, which I've just been obsessed with recently. Really, really good stuff. And I like his stuff. But he didn't make that much. But I mean, I don't know. I feel like I'm drawn to a lot of avant-garde or experimental or underground stuff personally. I truly love everything. Like I like a little bit of everything. I can get into certain blockbusters. I can get into romance, horror, no genre, no era. Like it's all good. I can get into everything, but I think I'm really drawn to like experimental stuff first and foremost, probably.
Yeah, that's something that I've started getting into more even before we started like actively editing Coalescence, but
Mm-hmm.
that's been something I've started getting into more. Something else I've been getting into over the past couple of years has been anime filmmaking. That's been really cool. Seeing that sort of animation style
Mm-hmm.
and art and stuff like that has
Yeah.
been really cool.
I'm typing in the chat now, James. Jermaine Duloc. She's got two movies that I love. One's the Seashell and the Clergyman, and then the other one is the Smiling Madame Boudet. Very good stuff.
Oh, she was pretty early in film.
Yeah. Like I said, well, maybe I didn't say it, but I feel like I go back to like early movies quite a bit, just because I don't know, I'm weird, and people would probably call me pretentious. That very well may be true. That's just what I like if I'm going to watch something. Because like I said earlier, like I don't know, there's nothing crazy going on in Hollywood that I'm super interested in. Like I want to see Avatar. Actually, I do want to see Avatar 3.
Is that
that's
end of this year?
End
Oh
of this
my
year.
gosh,
I'm hyped for Avatar 3.
That's gonna be crazy.
Aside from that, like I don't know, there's so much movies I haven't seen. I like going back and trying to find stuff I've missed or underground people, you know, who weren't always, you know, who maybe weren't super famous. But yeah, I don't know. It's all good. You know, movies like pizza, you know, it's all good. It's all tasty. Well, maybe that's not true. I don't know. Avatar 3. Yeah, baby. Avatar 3. Gosh. All right. Well, I think it's been about 10 minutes or so.
Yeah.
I think we'll call it here. Any last call? One last question. Speed fire, rapid round, or whatever. I'm giving you all a minute.
Yeah.
My imaginary watch. But yeah, this has been great. This has been awesome.
Yeah.
We'll be doing this again in not this Wednesday, the following Wednesday. One last question: is the Doomed podcast making a return? I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. It's kind of
we don't have any concrete plans.
Just to be transparent. It's kind of a lot of work, and these live streams are so much easier, and it feels very similar. So if we were going to do something regular, it'd probably be live streams instead of video podcast or podcast. But we'll keep you all posted when to be determined.
I could see it being like some sort of hybrid thing, where it's a kind of like the podcast, but it's a live stream. Yeah,
because it's like when you edit a podcast, you have to sit there and listen to the whole thing. So you have to record it. That's about an hour. You have to edit it. That's it's more than an hour. Another hour. You got to upload it. You got to prep all these stuff for it. You also have to do research for it, depending on what you're going to talk about. So it's just a lot of time, and ultimately, not very much. I feel like not very many people were watching our stuff, but to those who were, thank you. But
yeah, they were a lot of fun.
We're gonna try to keep you all entertained. Yeah. All right. Well, I think we'll call it there. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. This is awesome. Hope you all have a good night. Catch Coalescence when it streams this Friday. Don't forget this Friday,
February 14th.
Yeah. Watch it. Share with your friends. Tell everybody you know. Watch it. But yeah. Thank you everybody for being here.
Yeah. Take care.